Hey, a quick note before we get started this week. I've taken a couple-week break. You're about to see why, or pardon me, you're about to hear why in just about a minute. I lost my voice. I got sick. Kind of stinks when you make your living by talking with your mouth and your wind out of your mouth. And so I lost my voice. So that's why we didn't have a podcast. Got a little bit of a break, but I'm recharged. I'm ready to take you through the end of 2016. A lot of great stuff coming. So this week we're going to talk healthcare, and my voice sounds weird, so as you will hear, because I still tried to record it. Next week we're going to get into the essential truths of your financial life. So I'm really excited to share that with you. Thanks so much for all your emails and texts and tweets asking where the show was. No, it did not get canceled. I just had no voice. So thank you so much for your support. End of the year, go to PeteThePlanner.com, go to the shop. We have a buy one, get one deal for our books. Buy one for someone else and get one for yourself, half off. And there is a deal. I guess I should find the name of the deal, like what code you need to enter. It's Jolly PTP. So you buy Your Money Life book for someone else of whatever age they are. You get one for yourself. Use the offer code Jolly PTP. And you'll get 50% off that book that you get for yourself. So there it is. Thanks so much. I'm glad to be back with you. Here's the show.
A podcast? Did your radio show get canceled?
Fire. Low down and filthy, but the discipline is on point. Schooled myself, made my own dojo. A cold flow with the whole dose of soul. Maintain composure, even in theory. An anomaly, properties undiscernible to mere peasants. Use weapons that level entire areas.
It's the healthcare episode of the $1 Million Plan. I'm your host, Pete the Planner, and you're thinking, this is not a man that sounds well. It sounds like I'm listening to an Arby's commercial. We have the meats. Yeah, look, it's cold and flu season. What do you expect? It's also deer hunting season, but I haven't shot a deer. Today on the show, we're talking about healthcare. A big part of becoming a millionaire and then remaining a millionaire can get messed up if you don't have good health coverage. Now, as you know, in this country, healthcare is ever changing. I don't even sound like myself. I've got earphones in right now because that's what a professional does. And so as I'm talking to you, I'm hearing myself and I'm thinking, it's like like Lindsay Lohan meets like a Charlie Sheen meets the Arby's guy is what I'm hearing, with a lot of Lindsay Lohan in there. Anyway, healthcare today. And when I talk healthcare, I think of my fella Paul Ashley. Paul, hello.
Hello, Peter.
Oops. Let me turn on your mic. Go ahead, try again.
Hello, Peter.
Okay, there we go.
Did I do it right that time?
I'm under the weather, Paul. Paul, what's your title? What do you do? What do you know?
Gosh, these days, my title is Managing Director at FirstPerson.
Oh, my. Whoa.
I know, right? People ask me, what is a Managing Director? I'm like, it's simple. We manage direction and direct managing. Duh.
Yeah, so here's the thing about that. I bet you have a very expensive business card.
It's really expensive. It's gold-plated.
So, Paul, you tend to understand healthcare stuff the way I understand personal finance stuff, and you explain it in a very similar way, and that's why you're here today on the show.
It's good to be here since we're talking about that.
Everyday, normal, well-to-do people, their financial life can get ruined with improper health coverage, correct?
Absolutely, it can. You get yourself into a cycle of debt that was unexpected, not having the right emergency funds, not having the right protection, and you wind up having out-of-pocket expenses you wouldn't expect, and you get in a cycle of debt, aren't able to catch up with it, and the spiral goes.
And that's if things go poorly. But even if things go well, making bad decisions with prescriptions and coverage choices. Do you go with the traditional plan? Do you go with a high deductible plan? People just make mistakes because they get scared with it, I think.
Yeah, I think a lot of folks, let's be fair, the healthcare system is not easy for anyone to navigate. Even myself, knowing how it works, I even scratch my head occasionally like, well, this is really what we've got as a system? And when you couple that on top of how to select a insurance plan that helps you navigate the system or protects you as you navigate the system, a lot of consumers just simply don't make good choices. If you think about a higher net worth individual, they'll oftentimes think that they should go with the best plan available because that's what their mom taught them, right? Like always buy the best,
Sure.
buy the best this. And the reality is that the best plan actually may not be the one that is the most expensive or has the lowest deductibles. It might be one that allows you to leverage health savings accounts, and that requires a federally qualified high deductible health plan to do so. So on instant glance, if you're not used to be a consumer-driven healthcare, you'll think, well, I got to buy the lower deductible plan. It's got to be better. But, with tax arbitrage and the things that an HSA allows you to do, not so fast.
Yeah, so it's funny. What is it that you can choose? What price, service, and quality? Is that the three?
Yeah,
things?
choose two. You get pick two of the three.
So with healthcare, people either A, want to pick the best, whether they need it or not, or B, they want to pick the cheapest because they're annoyed that they think. And this is like everything though. It's so relative. Someone will go, man, I pay $350 a month for my health insurance, and I'm like, cry me a river. I pay 3 times that.
Right. Now, a lot of those times, those people are maybe employed, right? And
I'm employed.
Well, employed and not the owner, and therefore they have an employer.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, picking up a portion of their premium for them, and so they're what happens to be true in America too is that so much of our health insurance is employer based. And what that means is a lot of folks are truly insulated from the true cost of that. Not the cost of care, but the cost of insurance.
And if I may, incredibly unappreciative of it.
Yeah, and
that's not for you to say, but that's my
Well, I think that's generally true, and it's just become sort of an expectation that the employer will sponsor health coverage, and that health coverage, I don't see what the other part is worth. I only know what comes out of my paycheck.
Sure.
And people don't realize the true cost of that care, and it's not until they maybe have to change employment or they're let go and they have to see what a COBRA continuation is, and they begin to realize, oh, that's what the true cost is. Because when people hear COBRA rates, they're like, well, COBRA's terrible. Don't ever buy COBRA. It's so high. That, my friends, is the cost of your employer's been paying all along plus your cost. That's what COBRA is.
You and I, I can barely hear my voice like this. It's pretty
really
rough.
Attractive.
I feel like Kathleen Turner.
You look a lot like her today.
Oh, sweetie. I do seem like Kathleen Turner. So you and I were at an event together in the fall. We were at each other's date, and we were on a panel, and you said the key to having affordable health care is to not need health care.
Yeah.
So that's cute.
It's true.
It is true. But help me. I love it, by the way, but help us understand how that is not just a successories poster. Like, what's the practical application to that?
Well, so if you're buying coverage on your own through the private or exchange marketplace, or you're certainly buying coverage through an employer-sponsored plan, the less coverage you need, the more risk you can take on, and you're protecting yourself against the catastrophic. Well, think about it like as you... The analogy I'll use is how you take care of a car.
Sure.
If we treated our bodies like we take care of a car, every week we go put fuel in it. We check the oil. We get a oil change.
Where's the dipstick?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Is it on the metaphor?
No, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Right. We change our oil as we're supposed to. We get tires rotated, and we just pay for that as we go to avoid the massive issue with the car. Well, that's what we should be doing with our bodies. We should be getting preventive medicine. We should be taking care of ourselves and diet, and we should count on insurance to take care of the catastrophic piece. Well, the whole system's flipped backwards. People tend to go to the doctor for every little sniffle. They tend to not get preventive care when they really should be spending their time and energy there. And all of a sudden, come middle age, the wheels start to come off of the metaphorical body, and they expect healthcare to be inexpensive. That's just not how it works. You've got to maintain and prevent, so you don't actually ever need to get to the more expensive stuff.
So the system has been broken for a while, but to get the fixes we need is such a culture shift now. We have some of the tools there. I mean, there are things like a health savings account that help, and free wellness visits and all these sorts of things, but we're just not there yet.
Yeah, people aren't taking care of it. Now, you and I are unabashed fans of health savings accounts.
Absolutely. I think, and every time I say that, people look at me like, you're a nerd. And I'm like, they clearly don't understand them then, because it's the best tax advantage vehicle on the planet. And as we get older, we get sicker, we're going to need more health care. It essentially becomes sort of a healthcare 401k.
Exactly. And so if you think about, and neither of us are CPAs or tax advisors, but we know this.
But sometimes I'm boring.
Yeah, but we're boring sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes.
And we know that when you put money into an HSA through an employer, it's going in pre-tax, so you don't pay state, local, or FICA taxes on those. That's a huge savings.
Or it's tax deductible, which is the same thing.
Right. Or if you don't through an employer, it's an above the line tax deduction. So it's pre-tax or tax advantage savings. It sits in the account, and any interest that's gained is tax deferred.
Right.
And as long as you spend those monies on qualified expenses, you'll never pay taxes on those dollars. That is a triple tax advantage.
It turns out sensual massage is not a qualified.
Yeah,
event.
I know you tried that last year, and we
I
had
know.
to help you audit that and
Yeah,
put the money back in.
it was not
very
a
ugly.
good ending. So,
Not a happy?
no. So anyway, Paul. So we have some of these mechanisms in place, though. I mean, because you get into this idea now of concierge medicine.
Yeah.
And how that is a true solution to a broken problem. This broken culture of medicine today. Yet, in order to do it, it costs a lot of money.
Yeah. I mean, I'm lucky that I have an employer who sponsors concierge medicine for some of the key employees, and I get to participate in that. So I get to experience concierge medicine.
Can we call them right now and just act like something's wrong with you?
We could, if you wanted to. Dr. Schmidt would be happy to take
Can
our
we
call.
call them like, hi, this is Kathleen Turner. I'm with Paul, and we've noticed this nasty rash. What do you think it is?
we could do that, but let's not. It just doesn't translate well to radio.
I think that would translate perfectly well.
I don't want to be a part of that. Let's just say that.
Sure.
No, yeah, concierge medicine's great. I mean, it's changed how it's an example of me investing into my own personal health and well-being, being more aware of what's driving my health. I've learned things about myself that have made me
You're
be
part
healthy.
Cherokee Indian.
No, I've got some genetic challenges that we've identified, and I'm taking different supplements that help. So enough about me. But the point is that concierge medicine is great. It's the way medicine should be done, where a doctor gets compensated for the time they spend with you to keep you healthy, to keep you productive, to keep you well off. Well, the system, the overall system is not set up that way. The way doctors get paid, providers get paid today outside of the concierge system is based on the number of procedures and tests and things they do. So they get paid to get you healthy, but not keep you healthy.
So here's the $1 million question. You pay more for concierge medicine.
Absolutely.
But it will ideally over time save you money?
I think the answer depends on the person.
If the whole culture shifts to that, maybe that works because it scales. But you being an early adopter of that, it doesn't scale, right?
No, it's expensive. I mean, it's $5,500 a year.
But I'm sure. The whole point is you'd rather play offense than defense. That's
right,
which is fine. I'm not busting your chops.
No, we're
trying to get my head around it.
I like it, and it for my employer, it keeps claims out of the system. It means I'm not running those claims that I'm having done through the concierge medicine through our health plan, and it means there's claims that never happen because I'm taking care of myself. It keeps me more productive. It keeps me efficient. I don't have I don't have to deal with wait times, but that's not the type of care that the average consumer accesses.
Right. So let's do this. Let's take a break. I'm with Paul Ashley, Managing Director of FirstPerson Benefits Advisors. What's your guys' website now?
FirstPersonAdvisors.com.
With an O?
With an O, yeah, not the weird European ER. ADVISORS.
Have we had this conversation before? Because my editor at USA Today, every time I put advisor, they correct it to E, and I say, no, it's not an E, it's an O. And then I lose.
Because they have their AP, whatever.
Anyway.
Book.
All right, this is Kathleen Turner sitting in for Pete, the planner on the $1 Million Plan. We'll be back in just a second.
Primo beat, man. Kanye let this one go. Man. Sound good to me. I never question the right of any man to voice his opinion as strongly as any can. But then again, many men are citizens of their own little world, so they ain't really fitting in. I'm in the background blending in, camouflaged by the scenery, but I'm a champion. Revamp the camp again, put down the stamp again, talk to my fans again, renew my brand again, review the plan again.
We're back. Kathleen Turner sitting in for Pete the Planner this week on the $1 Million Plan. Talking healthcare. I've got a lozenge in my mouth. Paul Ashley, managing director of FirstPerson, sitting in with me. When I was a kid, my dad was a big fan of both Ludens and
Ricola.
Sucrets.
Oh, Sucrets are nasty.
Yeah, really?
They're
The
very
cherry one?
Oh, so my dad.
Yeah.
I think we
We don't
similar-
share a father, but go ahead.
No, not that I know of.
Yeah.
He had the mint ones.
Oh no,
Like
that's
the
a
menthol Sucrets.
no,
and
no. That he didn't like you.
No. Yes.
Yes, yes.
Right.
Paul, how much wine should a person drink to stay healthy? Because you and I, we tend to lift a glass to that every once in a while.
There's far too much wine in my cellar at the moment.
There is not. I disagree, and I'm an expert. All right, so I'm going to knock on some wood. I got some wood on my desk here. We, in our household, don't have a ton of healthcare costs. We just don't. And I feel really lucky. I'm blessed. Hashtag blessed. I don't know. But all we use are wellness visits. That's it.
Yep.
No one ever goes anywhere. It's just wellness visits. We pay, I don't know, now $800 a month for healthcare. And then we put our equivalent of $6,000 or whatever it is into our HSA.
In 2017, it's $6,750.
Look at that, $6,750.
Unless you're over the age of 55, or will turn 55 by December 31st, and then it's $7,750
You're very smart.
for a family.
So my question is, I'm in that case spending $800 a month for preventative care because the wellness is covered anyway.
Correct.
Or not, for $800 for catastrophic care. Is what I mean.
$800 for the catastrophic protection, and should you need to get anything other than preventive care, you would also receive a network discount. So if you had to get an MRI, instead of paying the retail price for an MRI, you would pay the after network discount price for an MRI. So you're paying for that, and then you're also paying for a stopgap. So your max out of pocket, your deductibles, you're just stopping your catastrophic risk at a certain dollar volume, probably $8,000 a year would be my guess on the plan you have. So
you get to different pricing, and then you get to another sort of chink in the armor of healthcare is that there's just different pricing for everybody, and it gets confusing whether you have coverage or don't have coverage. The cash price, the negotiated price, and that's no good.
Yeah, so there's not much transparency and when it comes to healthcare, and that's changing. I'll say that the because of the rise of consumer-driven healthcare, meaning plans like high deductible health plans that are health savings account compatible, because of the rise of that and the knowledge of consumers is increasing. There's been a demand from employers who sponsor plans, from employees who are on plans, from folks who just are knowledgeable. And so there's new tools that are coming out that help people kind of pierce part of the veil of what's available in terms of after discount price or true retail price.
Can I ask you a really uncomfortable question that has nothing to do with this?
Sure.
It does have to do with healthcare. So there's this idea that we're lengthening life, but we're not lengthening the quality of life because we're just tacking on 10 or 15 years of sedentary humanity. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, so one of the issues that the United States has not addressed or grappled with that is different than some other developed countries around the world, we tend to spend a majority of the healthcare dollars at the end of life.
Prolonging breath.
Prolonging breath, not necessarily quality of life,
Right.
but prolonging life. And if you look at that purely on a balance sheet as a macroeconomic issue, and you don't put anybody's name to it, you're like, well, that's just kind of silly. That's kind of weird. And you begin to think about things that we should do differently in terms of how we finance healthcare, in terms of palliative care versus trying to keep people alive. And that's easy to talk about on a balance sheet, but then on a macro. But then when you think, then when you start putting names to that, your parents, your grandparents, your aunt, then what do you do with it, right? So it's a very challenging question.
Well, there's no solution. I mean, I'm not saying there's a solution.
No.
I'm just saying, like, if I have to have a relative in a nursing home for 3 years, where, clearly they're going to spend a lot of money there. It's not like they want to be there, but their quality of life, if they're struggling, is no good.
Yeah, no, and this is less about healthcare and more about probably personal financial planning. But the thing that I always encourage friends and family to do is have a serious conversation with your spouse about the theoretical end of life and plan for that. What is your medical directive that you want them to be able to do and not do? How do you want to be sustained? You know, do you want to just be comforted? These are things that we need to be dealing with as consumers. It has a huge financial impact. It has a huge emotional impact. It certainly impacts the healthcare in the United States. And, you know, if we as consumers or just, you know, humans don't address that with their loved ones and leave them to do it, people tend to make difficult emotional choices. So,
you know, we just got a few days, 40, 50 days left in the Obama administration. I guess what I want to know is, when do the death panels start?
Yeah, the death panels. So there never were death panels, but there was comparative effectiveness research.
Sure.
And comparative effectiveness research, which was funded through the Affordable Care Act, is something you and I both actually want. It basically says, take a condition and let's fund trials and fund studies about how treatments are going to find comparatively which type of treatment is most effective and cost effective versus another.
That's what the death panel was?
That's what the death panel was.
What? I'm not going to ask what everyone's problem is, but because no one knows.
No one knows the real problem.
So I don't want to get too much into the Affordable Care Act because I can't even right now.
Well, get ready to buckle your seatbelts come January 20th.
We're going to have to do a show on that.
Pete will probably be back together sometime in February talking about what's coming.
So let's deal with this then. I mean, again, on an everyday basis, how do people end up wasting healthcare dollars? Can it be things like when they have prescriptions, they're not buying the medicine from the right places?
Yeah, absolutely. So, folks should think about buying prescription medicine like they buy gasoline. Now, be careful on taking that analogy out too far, but people will go 3 blocks down the road to save a penny a gallon on gas because they're thoughtful about what they look and see what's out there. But that's not easy to do because those prices aren't listed. But there are tools that are out there. So I'll give you two websites to go to. There's goodrx.com.
Goodrx.com.
Yeah, GOOD. And then onerx.com.
Onerx.com.
Both are very good. The one I've gravitated to personally is onerx.com because it's got a really great app for smartphones, iPhone or Android, and it lets you download the app to your phone. It's location based, so you type in the name of a drug, it'll tell you within a X mile radius of where you are.
Marijuana.
Well, that's not actually in there.
Oh,
yeah.
You mean pharmaceuticals?
Right. Yes.
I'm sorry.
Now, no class 1 substances are listed, I believe.
Yeah.
And it lets you search for pharmacies, and then it tells you here's what the true retail price is. Here's what the price is when it runs through your prescription with your prescriptions, because it lets you put your RX information from your ID card into the system.
So here's the dumbest question that we're getting to here is why wouldn't someone, once they have that, why wouldn't you just buy medicine from the least expensive place?
That's what we do. Yeah.
But why people
they?
don't? I mean,
why don't people do that? Well, number one, they don't have the app. So let's say they have the app. So then why wouldn't they if they didn't? So the main reason people don't now is because they don't know how to. They just think, well, I've always gone to CVS or I've always gone to Walmart or I've always gone to Walgreens. So that's where I go. That's where my pharmacist is. But if people had the information at their fingertips, why would they still not go to the least expensive place? The only logical reason that I think that actually holds value is they've got a personal relationship with a pharmacist who has helped them, and they see them as part of their healthcare system. I can give somebody credit for that if they truly engage with the pharmacist in a meaningful way, but most consumers don't do that.
I know this has nothing to do with the conversation, but now I'm curious. OneRx, is that the one?
Yeah, that's what I use.
How do they make money?
Well, so the way they make money is when you have a prescription filled and you don't use your you don't run it through your commercial insurance. Instead, you find a price lower because it brings forward coupons. When it runs through that OneRx coupon, there's on the back end, there's some money making. But the reality is the people at OneRx don't really care if they make money because
they just love to sell guns.
Right. What they are, it's actually a way for a PBM consulting company called
Peanut Butter and Melly? What's PBM?
Pharmacy Benefit Management.
Oh, I was wrong.
To get their name out there. So a company named Truveris is behind OneRx, and it's really just a public goodwill gesture for them.
So let's do this. Let's take another break. We'll come back. We got Paul Ashley, Managing Director of FirstPerson Benefit Advisors. He knows everything about healthcare and some wine.
And wine. Yep. And children, child rearing.
He's reared 5 children. So we'll come back after the break. I'm Kathleen Turner.
Yeah. Axe hand on the beat. Yes, sir. Glass House. Yes, sir. Mr. Kinetic, Rusty Redenbacher. ATFU. Naptown. Yeah. Peace to Betty and Fredo. Helicopter choppers. Yeah, y'all ain't hip yet. Cashing in like the end of the game at the casino. I lean so the glare of the rear view don't hit me. Swiftly through the avenues and boulevards, old soul playing on my speakers, old soul but young in age, a boss player. Not from the Himalayas, but my fam gave me Gary, Indiana game. Grew up around the country, but the mindset was there. Ain't I won't complain about a damn thing on this beat. Axe hand got it slapping, Glass House keep it funky. Word to the jams, drums clicking, clapping, grooving. This is
Back with Paul Ashley, Managing Director of FirstPerson Benefits Advisor, stuck in healthcare in your $1 million plan. I've seen people lose hundreds of thousands of dollars because of poor healthcare planning. So that's why we're talking about it, because this is real. And I'm relatively healthy, despite my vocal cords right now apparently are in shreds, Paul. But I really do have a solid healthcare strategy. Like I max out my HSA. I don't eat lard.
Not directly in spoonfuls, at least.
Not spoonfuls.
Yeah.
I love tortillas, though. So what else besides those 2 prescription apps? People don't negotiate their medical costs enough. They don't use Castlight and healthcarebluebook.com and services like that, which encourage consumers to get the best prices.
Yeah, they really don't, and it's crazy. And I've got a personal story around that. Some number of years ago, I was asked by a friend who had double lung replacement to...
Double lung replacement.
That's right.
What do they replace them with? Like shopping bags? Like
no,
plastic
like
shopping?
lungs. Like
other
they
people's
harvest
lungs
from a organ donor. Yeah.
And that's usually the person's dead, though.
The one whose lungs were harvested
Yes.
from? Yeah, they almost always are not alive after that.
Can you donate a lung to somebody, or is that not work
No.
that way? That's a kidney. Or
Right.
can you do... Go ahead.
Yeah, are we physicians?
I don't
Is this
know.
the
Look,
Pete Medical Hour? Anyway, so the point of the story was he asked me to, he wanted to run. Once he got his lung replacement, he wanted to run. By the way, his lungs were replaced.
Do I know this person?
No.
Okay.
His lungs were replaced by, it was a woman organ donor. And so we had some really fun jokes about that, like every 28 days. Anyway,
That seems inappropriate.
it was inappropriate. But he, the guy survived, so we had fun with that.
Yes.
Anyway, he wanted to run the half marathon here, right?
Sure.
Well, the doctor said you can't run it, but you certainly can walk it and walk till your feet fall off. So he asked a bunch of friends
Yeah,
to
foot
walk.
replacement.
Yep. And he asked a bunch of friends to walk it with him. So we did. So I went out and walked it with him, and no training. Just went out and walked 13.1 miles and woke up the next morning and I thought my legs were going to fall off.
Sure.
And went to the doctor on the following Tuesday because I didn't feel any better. And he's like, well, I think you're just an idiot because you just went out and walked 13.1 miles with no training. And you probably just have shin splints. But I want to go ahead and order an MRI from you. And I'm like, whoa, wait a second. Time
What?
out. I'm like, time out.
So this went from a lung transplant to you having an MRI because you had shin splints?
Yeah. So I said, wait a second. You're telling me you think it's shin splints.
Pump the bees.
Yeah. You think it's shin splints. But the reality is that it's probably not any break. Could you tell the same thing from an x-ray? He's like, oh yeah, I'd be fine with an x-ray. That wouldn't be too big of a deal. I'm like, all right, how's this? Why don't you write me a order for an x-ray as opposed to telling me to go to this specific place for an MRI? Write me an order for an x-ray where I can go anywhere I want. And if I don't feel better in 5 days, because he gave me, like anti-inflammatory drugs, then I will go get the x-ray. Would you oh, that's perfect. So I went from being ordered to go to a specific location to have an MRI to having the consumer choice to go get an x-ray when and where I needed it within 5 days if I didn't start feeling better.
And
it turns out I'm an idiot. All I needed was anti-inflammatory drugs to get over the
Wine.
shin splints, and I was fine. I never even got an x-ray. So I went from being ordered what would have been $2,500 out of pocket to paying $9 for generic anti-inflammatory drugs that he had me fill, and I was done. Well, so why did this happen? The doctor, bless his heart, good enough guy, probably had part ownership in the imaging clinic and wanted to direct business
That
there.
doesn't make him a good enough guy.
Well,
though,
you know,
actually.
I'm just trying to be kind, you know, and not all doctors are out to get people. But if I hadn't stood up and said,
He couldn't tell you were standing because you're not that
right,
tall.
because I'm not very tall, but the reality is that I would have been directed to get medicine care I didn't need
Yeah.
to solve an issue I didn't have. But I simply stopped and asked questions. I wasn't demanding. I wasn't rude. I just said, well, is there another direction we can go? Could we try this? And we
That's
have
fascinating.
we have to be our own best advocates when it comes to healthcare.
Our friend Kelsey says the one who's paying is saying.
That's right. Preach.
She's the greatest.
Kelsey is the greatest. I got to kiss her hand on stage.
Well, that was exciting for you.
Yes.
Only. So that's interesting, right? So that was a way to prevent getting charged something. But what after? Let's say after the fact, you get charged a bill. You get the actual bill in the mail, and you're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. So let's
what
say
do
I
you
was
do?
dumb enough to go get the MRI.
Sure.
Right. So then what do I do? Well, then what you do is when you get the bill, these providers love to be paid quickly. You know, time value money. They don't like accounts receivable. So if I'm somebody who has a health savings account, I just call up the provider and say, hey, I'm going to pay in full right now. But would you be willing to take a would you be willing to provide a 10% discount? I mean, what the worst thing I can tell you is no. I've done this before. One of my children had tubes put in their ears, and the bill came immediately, and it had already been discounted by the insurance.
Right.
This was the allowed charge, and I called up and said, hey, I just got the bill. I want to make full payment. Would you be willing to talk to one of your finance managers and knock off 10%? Hold on, let me put you on hold, sir. Went and checked, said, sure. If you'll make credit card payment over the phone right now, we'll do that. So I got out my HSA debit card and made payment and saved, $200.
I've done that numerous times.
Yeah. And they don't have to do that, right? And in their defense, they've already agreed to an in-network discount, and so the after discount price is already been discounted heavily off their retail price, but they want to get paid. They want to get paid fast.
And that's another reason actually to have money in your HSA, because it gives you leverage to be able to do that. I mean, if you've got money and you've got a balance, then it's tougher than say, okay, if they say, well, then pay it right now. And you go, well, here's the thing. I can't because I don't have any money in my HSA. Right. You sort of kind of peters out, so to speak.
You used it.
I know. Interesting. Okay, so the consumer one that people can use is Healthcare Blue Book. Castlight is usually more attached to a benefit through an employer.
There's no way for an employer, there's no way for a general consumer who doesn't have Castlight. Castlight only comes through employers, is what we're trying to say. Great tool, but let's say you're with an employer who doesn't have Castlight, and you're with a major insurer like Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield or United Healthcare or Cigna or Aetna. All of these insurers have tools that are sort of baked into their solution, where if you go to, say, anthem.com or myuhc.com, there are tools where you can type in not every procedure under the sun, but a lot of the most common procedures, and they have cost estimator tools that says, okay, here's all the in-network providers, here's what the after discount price is, and you can make shopping decisions. The thing that they're starting to add to this is also quality scores, different providers are following the best practices, and so they get special designations because they're doing things more efficiently and effectively. So you should be able to go out and see quality measures, cost measures, and all the things in network. So if you're with one of those major insurers, you should definitely go to the website before you have anything that's done on an outpatient basis.
Not too long ago in central Indiana, there was a billboard over on the west side where I grew up, which is the best side. And it's 10 to 15% off or something like that. 15% off all services at such and such hospital. I just remember thinking, there's a sale on services? Like, I get it, but at the same time, that doesn't seem right to me.
Yeah, and who knows how they're doing it, right? But off of what? Because you as a consumer didn't even know what the base price was.
There's no transparency, so you have no idea.
Nope.
All right. Well, let's do this. Let's take a break, and we'll come back for the final short segment. We'll do biggest waste of money of the week. So here's your challenge, Paul Ashley, Managing Director of FirstPerson Advisors. You have to come up with the biggest waste of money of the week, and it has to be healthcare related. We'll do that after this. I'm Kathleen Turner, sitting in for Pete the Planner on the $1 Million Plan.
Every day living through the peace of my soul, I remain whole, even in the middle of the pain. Even though my life has the rain, I still remain sane. Writing and creating for my life, and my pen is my sword given by the Lord, and I use it to fight the tides of restriction. Sometimes I'm conflicted, find myself looking at the trees too much and can't see the forest. Enemy shall inherit the earth, and I want to inherit something other than the high blood pressure and diabetes. So work is what I gotta do. Stay true to my enemy and water the trees that I sing from, and look out for the lumberjacks. Running with the gale force wind at my back. Swift and enduring, I remain calm. Swift and enduring, I remain calm. Swift and enduring, I remain calm. This lays great errors to rest. Let me remain calm until it all calms down. Enjoying everything that's around.
All right, we're back. Biggest waste of money of the week here on the $1 Million Plan. I'm Kathleen Turner, sitting in for Pete the Planner. Paul Ashley, Managing Director of FirstPerson Advisors, is here with me. Hey, Pablo.
That's me.
What's the biggest?
Pedro Del Pesos.
What's the biggest waste of money of the week, sir?
I think it's the biggest waste of money every week.
Ari.
When people are prescribed brand name medications by their provider and take it without asking, is there a generic alternative or equivalent available?
So someone, a doctor gets out their pad, starts writing you a prescription, and you say, if I may.
Pardon me.
Is there a generic? And
It's
then
a fair question to ask.
Are they ever incentivized to not write generics?
No. And there are times, let's be clear, there are times when a brand name drug is a must, either A, because there is no alternative, or B, there's a very specific reason or a side effect that the doctor might believe. But there's the biggest waste is you not asking the question and engaging with the provider of, hey, I know you're writing a brand name drug, but is there a generic alternative available to this or a generic equivalent? And oftentimes there can be. And a lot of times what the doctor will write, they'll write the generic name because that's just what they know, or the brand name, and then they'll write they'll not check dispense as written, meaning that the pharmacist has the ability to replace it with a generic equivalent, meaning that has the same active ingredient.
Well, I didn't know that.
Well, yes.
I don't have prescriptions.
Well, good for you.
I need a prescription for Sucrets.
Yeah, that's an over-the-counter. Those are free.
Last night I tried.
Free.
I tried to use Grandpa's cough syrup to help with it, and it burned.
Yeah, well,
Dude,
the bourbons.
I went bourbon, but here's the thing. It's funny. It tasted like Robitussin because like my taste buds are off because I got a cold. I was like, well, I should have just had Robitussin because that was some expensive Robitussin. Mm-hmm. So you're the pharmacist can do it, huh?
Well, so the if you look at a prescription pad that a doctor has, they can write dispense as written, meaning I wrote the script, you have to follow it to a T, or may substitute. And when they say that, they're saying as long as it has the same active ingredient, you can replace it with generic. But then but before that even happens, if a doctor writes a script, there may not be a generic equivalent to that, but there might be a generic alternative in the same therapeutic class. So there might be a generic medication that does the same thing that's just a different drug. So you just have to ask. The biggest waste of the week is just not engaging and asking, is there a more effective, cost-effective way to do this, doctor?
Speed round. Should you pick up a magazine that's in a doctor's office waiting room?
Me personally, no. It's got to be covered with MRSA or...
I don't touch anything when I'm in a doctor's office.
I walk in there like, well, you can't see this on TV, but my hands are all like, where do I put my hands right now?
You look like a T-Rex when you do that.
T-Rex.
All right, Paul Ashley. If people want to learn more, they go to FirstPersonAdvisors.com, FirstPersonAdvisors.com.
Yeah, we've got a lovely blog for all your blogging needs.
Oh, a web blog.
Well, yes, and we've got some video blogs and other things.
I think those are called vlogs.
Those are.
My hope for you, dear listener, is that my voice is back next week. Because if it isn't, I don't know. Thanks for listening. Reminding you, as always, I'm sending you good vibes because good vibes are all that's in the budget. I'm Pete the Planner, Kathleen Turner, and this is the $1 Million Plan.
If you want to be on this podcast and have Pete fix your money life, then hit us up at PeteThePlanner.com/podcast. You heard me. PeteThePlanner.com/podcast. Log on.
This is for information purposes only. It's not the Swiss financial planning device. Consult a financial advisor.
Released from Everest, the fresh is fresh, and you can call me E.T. Word to John Tesh. Let me bless this harmonic presentation. It's amazing, so amazing. I'm the reason. Salutations, I bring you love, trying greetings from a faraway land. I am the sole controller. Put the remote down and let me take control. You're now a part of my zone, so enjoy yourself. Love trying can restore your health. I bring you greetings, salutations. How you doing? And is that how y'all say it? The tinkling of the keys is an homage to the little star. I sojourn over poetic descriptions of sound and travel to my other world. Out of this world, spaceship on my arm took me home, fueled by the ink and the megabytes and the hypertext transfer protocol, stronger than the Skynet and the Terminator. I push faders into warp speed, glide with ease, creating a breeze they call a black hole. Event horizon, no rear view concerns. This I adjourn, and beats I burn. This I adjourn, and beats I burn. Salutations, I bring you love, trying greetings from a faraway land. I am the sole controller. Put the remote down and let me take control. You're now a part of my zone, so enjoy yourself. Love trying can restore your health. I bring you greetings, salutations. How you doing? And is that how y'all say it?